probably see on our screen here today, I'm here to talk about RFP Express. If you've been around at any of our last few conferences, you've probably heard it mentioned. So there's no one more excited today to actually get to show you the tool and give you some background and get us into the tool itself. So with that, I want to say, again, why are we here today? We're here because we're looking at our benchmarking spectrum, right? So previously, we have our fast, we have our time sensitive, or we have fast. We have a low value, or we have a high value. So looking at that, we're going to look at our lower quadrant. So tools out there, they might be easy to use, but they don't necessarily give us the desired results that we want. What are some things like that? Maybe a plan sponsor Google's. How much should my 401k cost? Maybe we're using one of those big averages books that maybe is 2 years old. So they're fast, they're readily available, but they might not be the most high value. So if we move over to our other quadrant, it's a good report. It's maybe took us some time. It goes in depth. Maybe it's like those type of benchmarking reviews that compare you to your industry peers, but it doesn't have any proposals. It has no quotes, so you can't actually affect any change in those. Then we move up right where we want to be, a high value type of report. So our higher value reports, what do they usually take? Some time. So they get us to the result, but they're time, right? So even our own, we have our provider analysis report. Yeah. So the provider analysis report, if any of you have used it, it's a great report. We will continue to use it. It has that high value for those clients that need to go in depth. But what we wanted was something that takes that and can also be fast. So with that, we now have RFP Express, and any of you that may have used our Plan Fee Prism and Prism 365 reports. So any users out here in our audience today? Fast, right? So I'm excited today to continue to talk about why we brought that to a live bid type of process. So ERISA states that we need to determine the services our record keepers and other providers should be offering, what are their responsibilities, evaluate those services and their fees, and monitor the qualities of services and investments. So any plan fiduciaries, we've created our best practices. So we have a prudent process that we follow. We conduct these regularly, reviewing fees and benchmarking, and we're aware of opportunities to negotiate costs. With that, this is our cycle, so our benchmarking cycle, right? We get the fee disclosure, we determine what is a reasonable fee, we benchmark it annually, and we do live bids every 3 to 5 years. So that's probably what you guys are all doing today. It's one of the 3 F's, right? Funds, fees, fiduciary. So that fee component. What's important in that is having an objective process, a way that you can analyze all providers. And something else that's important in our day as things are maybe not changing, but as things get competitive, your competitors are leading with fee benchmarking. So it's something they may be offering their prospect before they even sign on the paperwork. So it's not something that you can dedicate a bunch of time to till maybe you're getting that revenue back from them. And then we go through and we repeat this cycle. So that was the challenge that we looked at here at RPAG. And from that, again, just a little recap, the existing reports that we have, current provider analysis, live bid benchmarking, 500 data points in there about your providers. We move to our annual fee benchmarking report, Planned Fees Prism, now having also the advisor Prism 365 fee reporting feature. And our new addition, RFP Express. So really focusing on streamlined, quick, and instantaneous proposals. So anything that we're creating these days is really looking at the time-saving solution. So how can we save time in your sales process? Why do we want to do that? To give you the time back for revenue-generating activities. We also want to help you increase operational efficiencies in your current clients and their deliverables. And then leveraging the technology that we have here at RPAG to get that time and efficiencies back to you. So RFP Express, proposals made simple. So in our tool, you'll have instant proposals from a lot of our top providers. It helps you fulfill your fiduciary responsibilities in a quick and efficient manner. It's solving that current proposal problem. It produces accurate and very on-demand results We're going to do one here very shortly just so you can see how that works. So saving you time, so really hopefully you can continue to help grow your business. So as we look into what the tool itself does, we have an instant proposal option. So these instant quotes, they're already there for you, they're ready to go. So saving you that time. It helps to give you an apples to apples comparison across multiple providers offering similar services. All the top record keepers are on there today. We're continuing to add to them. We do predict about 10,000 of these reports done annually. So if you're not doing them, probably your competitors are, so definitely something to take a look at. The quotes can also, we're going to focus today on our instant quotes. There are custom quotes available as well. So if your plan doesn't quite fit into the instant quote parameters that provider has, you have options to still get custom quotes. We estimate it's about a 5-minute to 2-day turnaround. So that's exciting, right? And then the sales, we do see this use case for it, as I mentioned, in your sales process. So again, previously, maybe you were grabbing a quote from a record keeper partner, something you can kind of get a sense for where you might add some value in the fee side of it, but we're now delivering for you within that same quick, efficient way of getting a proposal, an entire report you can take for your first potential presentations with your prospects. And then looking at your current block of business, what clients or maybe you're not offering a fee review with them, because again, that time component. So maybe this is something you can now offer to them, or something that you can use what you currently were doing, substitute with this to get your time back. So as we mentioned, our partners, we've heard about them a few times today. Really, we had a little bit different approach when we started to build RFP Express. I know you've heard it from us for a while, and what we were doing in the background is working with these record keeper partners. So we've integrated with them, we've worked with their pricing teams, built the components with our programming teams of what they need in order to get there. So it is very unique to RPAG, and again, our strategy was kind of finding out from the record keepers what do they need, so this instantaneous process is possible. So thank you to all of them that are on there. We're happy to continue to add to that. So providers that you're working with that you might not see here, please just let us know, and we're happy to work with them as well. Let's see. So with that, I have our challenge today. So we believe in our product so much that we agreed to do a live demo of the tool today. So it's so fast. Let's see if I can now take us through it. So here we are in the RPAG portal. Some of you may use the portal itself. Some of you may have support team members that currently do this for you. RFP Express is going to be so easy. You can definitely delegate it to them, or it could be something that you take on yourself as well. So when you're in one of your plan cards here, once you have a plan set up, down here, you now have the new RFP Express listed as a fee benchmarking option. Additionally, if say it's a prospect, you haven't even started to build anything else out for them, but you want to go straight to RFP Express, in your main menu, you can select RFP Express from the tools right here. We're going to go ahead. Again, this is a client that we've been working on for a while. So we have a $1.3 million plan here. You can see we last reviewed their fees probably in 2022. Maybe we did a averages plan fees report for them. But today we're going to go ahead and do this RFP Express. So we'll click into RFP Express. And while it loads, again, we're starting from our plan card. So the benefit of that is we have a lot of the data already here. You can see up at the top, this is our Kimpton client, or Kimpton prospect, somebody hopefully we look to win. So we have them built. Their data is going to translate for you, so you don't have to type it in again. If it was a new client, these would just be data points that you would have to first fill out. So keeping in mind, if you use plan fees, it's going to be very similar workflow and very similar amount of data points that you need. So we're going to go ahead and make a report. Through here, we have the rest of the data filled in. Maybe since the last time we looked at this plan, the assets have now increased, so now the plan's at 1.5 million. So you can go ahead and change and update anything that you need to. Down here at the bottom, you see your record keeping fees, the investment fees, the advisory fees. These are specific to your current plan, except the advisory fees are going to be what you specific want to propose. If you're not sure what the current record keeping fees are or anything like that, you can leave them blank. It's not a requirement to be able to use them. Only the fields marked with an asterisk are the required points. We're going to hit next. And then the last of the demographics, again, working with our record keeper partners, we really isolated what is needed to quote a plan, not maybe the depth and the breadth of everything that's available from an information perspective. So we're going to look at the contributions, distributions, and your total participants. And with that, you have your plan fact set. So your plan fact set's built, make any edits or changes that you want here. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and click next, lock in our demographic data, and pick our quotes. So you see here, we already have our quotes. So everything is available on this screen. On the left side, you have some filters. So should you want to narrow down your search a little bit more, our current plan is bundled, so maybe we only want to look at other bundled solutions. We'll go ahead and use that filter. We also have our tool built to be able to accommodate some of those special plan types. So PEPs and MEPs. So if those are tool options that you work with providers, those are things that we can have set up on our side, and any of the ones that our providers are offering, you may find available here too. If you prefer to search by providers by name, you have that available. Otherwise, we go ahead and select the quotes that we want. So you'll see the breakdown. Here we have an American Funds instant quote. The record keeping fee is displayed as well as the total plan cost. If you'd like to take a look more where that's coming from, you can click in, see the breakdown at the top. Again, we're focused on a bundled bid, so none of our TPAs will be filled in on here. I'll show you kind of how the TPA section works in a little bit. And then we have the lineup that's going to be used for your assumed allocation. So in order to lock in these instant quotes, one of the challenges was getting that lineup nailed down as a sample. So pricing will be based on this lineup. And then again, anything that changes from that would work with the record keeper directly later on in the process. If we have an unbundled plan, let's do a little switcheroo. Let's see here. So we have one here. So our fidelity would be an unbundled option. You will have an input later on in order to be able to fill in the TPA fees. So let's go ahead and select a couple quotes. We're going to see down at the bottom, any providers, if for some reason they didn't have a quote available, you can select them here to request a custom quote. So in the time frame of our meeting today, I'm not going to make us wait for a custom quote. An email actually gets sent to those providers, but they will get a notification that you would like to request a custom quote from them once you hit this compare quotes screen. So on this page, we now have our report. It's ready to build. We have here available the plan fees PRISM report. So if it is a data point that you like to look at with your clients, you don't have to run a whole separate report. It's integrated as a column that you can present. If you don't want to see that, or say here our current plan was ADP, if we didn't want to see that, you would just simply uncheck them. And they would no longer appear in the output of the report. We have over to the side all of our bids. Emeritus, again, in this example, was going to be a custom quote, so we are still waiting on that. We're going to go ahead and decide we're not going to go ahead and remove them from our report. Select that, and it puts them down at the bottom so you can later on decide if you'd like to add it back in. From there, you click Generate Report. You can add your meeting date to the cover if you have one set, and then you hit Generate and Download. So with that, we're going to switch back to our slides so we can take a look at the output, and then we're ready to go. We can go back to our slides now. Thank you. Perfect. So you'll have a nice cover page. You can add branding of the client logo. You'll have the client name and your contact information. Here we give a quick overview of the benchmarking process. So we talked a lot about fees. We don't want it to be only about fees. So we do kind of give a little bit of background on what we're looking at in the benchmarking process itself. We'll cover the plan assumptions that you use to quote the plan, as well as a service provider summary. So this page is a little bit new. You do see that there are fields. If we're working in any of those scenarios where there is a 316 provider, an investment fiduciary, or a pooled plan, so for some of those unique structure and setups, when those are used in a report, you'll see the breakdown here of who those additional parties included would be. If you presented our provider analysis report, this page looks pretty similar. We break down our fees into our main categories of record keeping, TPA, if there is going to be a TPA involved, investments, advisory, and your total plan cost. So everything together on one page, you kind of get to see the side-by-side of each line item. At the bottom, the total cost, you can reflect as a percentage, a dollar amount, or an average cost per participant. You'll also see here that plan fees average column, so I mentioned that as an option. If you choose to include it, that's where you would see this data point pulled into your report. And as I mentioned, we're not trying to focus just on fees, so we do have a shorter service comparison here. There's about 20 data points compared to our 500 data point database. So in here, you get the breakdown of the size and the scale of the record keepers included, and a couple other additional points related to their offerings. So you'll have how many account managers do they have employee education, financial wellness programs, so a couple key data points that you can speak to help differentiate the record keepers that are included. Additionally, you'll have the output of the investments, so any providers lineups that were included, you'll see those a page reflected. You'll have a summary page for each provider where they kind of give their sales pitch. Formerly, we used to call them our Why We Win business pages. So it's just their ability to give their value proposition. The rest of the report are disclosures. Since these are actionable bids, any quotes that you get can be executed. Providers have the opportunity to give their disclosures in here rather than what you might have seen in their proposals directly. So that takes us through what the report looks like. Just as a recap here, your benchmarking universe here at RPAG, you have your PRISM report. That should take you minutes. PRISM 365, similar. Provider analysis service database. So that's one you haven't used yet. That's those 500 data points. If you love them, if you maybe want to use that as your first meeting. If you didn't know, you can export just that within minutes through the tool as well. Maybe you want to partner that with your RFP Express report. So that's an option for you. An additional is a cybersecurity overview. We launched that probably after, I think it was 2021. The DOL came out with their guidelines on what best practices fiduciaries should be looking at in the cybersecurity world of their providers. So we actually have, it's about 150 data point questionnaire specific to cybersecurity on each of the record keepers. If you do a full provider analysis, it's included in there. Otherwise, you can export just that specifically too. And then we have our new friend here, RFP Express. So that is a report we just covered. You saw it took us only a couple minutes and we were ready to present it. 2 days is our estimate. If you are including any custom quotes, our record keepers are aware and agreeable to getting those quotes back to you pretty quickly. So it is a much more streamlined process, even though it's still going to be live bids. The last two, fees, services, provider analysis, fee, services, investment, provider analysis, those are going to be the more in-depth, taking anywhere from about 5 to 10 days till you get all your quotes back from everybody. So pricing. Now we talked about what you might want to look at. If you're a current plan fees user, there is no additional cost. So RFP Express is available to anybody that's currently subscribed to plan fees. If you are not yet subscribed to plan fees, it is about $200. It is $200 a quarter, and there is a fee increase coming. So we can't talk about fee benchmarking and not talk about getting a deal, right? Negotiating some fees. So if you sign up for plan fees before Q3, so before June, you will get to lock in the previous rate of $200 a quarter. So if all that sounds good, Luke is going to be your contact. I know I can only cover so much. I wanted to make sure we stick to our time. I have 10 seconds left, guys. So Luke would be happy to cover a one-on-one demo of the tool, get you signed up or answer any questions, as well as I'll be here for the rest of the conference. So I'm happy to talk one-on-one with you too. That's it. Thank you, guys.